Khan here for Seconds Out with Eddie Hearn. Just had some technical issues there, Eddie, but thank you for troubleshooting them. Good to see, though, you guys here giving away a sizable donation to the Lion Boxing Club. Nice of you to do that. Where and how do you feel the money can be used the best to kind of help the kids, serve the kids the best?
Most importantly, to keep the club open, because that was the problem. You know, obviously, our charitable foundation, this is from the Matchroom Charitable Foundation, which supports all kinds of charities around the country, it's not just boxing. And with everything that's going on at the moment, when you hear that a club like this, that's steeped in heritage and history in boxing, could be closing down, is down to just 3 carded fighters. Like, it's a travesty. So, from our point of view, yes, a financial donation that keeps them alive, but also a little bit of exposure, some good vibes, some well-being to come down and support the club. And, you know, this club is a club that I first heard about 40 years ago when my godfather, Freddie King, was a member. He used to talk about this place all the time. Francis Ampofo, who's my favourite ever fighter, was an amateur here before he signed with Matchroom. And even Big Johnny Fisher was an amateur here as well. So you know how important these clubs are to the community, particularly at the moment. And you can see that the way that the kids are enjoying themselves in here. And it's like when you come in these places, all your troubles just go away. Do you know what I mean? Like, nothing matters. Any problems at home, problems out there on the streets, you know, nothing really matters. It's just you're in there together as a community, as a family. And for a lot of people that maybe don't have that infrastructure at home, this is the kind of place where you can get it.
You're talking down there, giving the children like a motivational speech as to kind of, you know, discipline, and keep them focused. And those kids will have small goals right now, but they'll be led on to big goals to be future world champions and such. But one of the goals that maybe the UK kids might not be able to achieve in the future is being an Olympian. Your thoughts on the status of Olympic boxing and that not being an Olympic sport anymore?
Yeah, I think it's, you know, it would be a catastrophe for the sport. You know, I was lucky enough to go to Paris for a couple of days and experience the boxing. And I absolutely loved it. You know, it's like, you know that sport now is dominated by money. And I know that a lot of countries will financially reward their fighters through success in the Olympics, apart from Team GB. But they're not really thinking about that. Like, I don't believe there's actually athletes in the Olympics that week that are going, oh, if I win this, I'm going to get this. They're just thinking about their medal. And I think, you know, the type of world that we live in now, and the way that sport is dominated by money, the glory of the medal is everything that's great about sport. You know, like when they stand on the podium, they look at, you see someone looking at it going, I can't believe it. Like, with all due respect, that's not worth a fortune, that medal. But it's the achievement of, one, being an Olympian, but 2, becoming a medalist. And I think it's so refreshing to see that within sport. I feel like boxing is one of the most exciting sports within the Olympic roster. I think as an event, as a TV event, I think it delivers some of the most exciting moments. But it's also a pain in the arse. And it's a pain in the arse at our level, and it's a pain in the arse at amateur level, especially for the IOC with rival organisations and this and that and criticism. And there will come a time where they may look at boxing and go, I just can't, like, we don't need this aggravation. But let's be honest, if they're going to put breakdancing in, how can they possibly get rid of boxing? So I really hope that the IOC are up for the fight on boxing. If you look at the history of boxing in the Olympics, it's very special. And I think it would be disappointing for the amateur setup, for really good elite kids to not have that opportunity to go and perform in the Olympics.
What's your process for picking some of the fighters that you want to sign? How do you kind of, you know, scout them out? What are you looking for in their skills? And then also, how much competition do you expect for their signatures?
I mean, the latter, loads, because there's a lot of promotional companies, a lot of broadcasters that are looking for talent right now. The answer to the first question is with my eye, and just with a feeling of watching someone and going, wow. You know, and I shouldn't really, you know, tell you who they are, but I don't really care because everyone's going to be in for them anyway. You know, some people that haven't medalled, You know, if you're talking about the GB guys like Pat Brown, I think is going to be a really exciting pro fighter, going to sell a lot of tickets. Amari Jones, the American, I think he's an outstanding talent. Marco Verde, the Mexican fighter that won silver. You know, 5 Uzbeks that won golds. You know, really good female fighters. Caitlin Parker, you know, has been a great performer on the scene for a long time. You know, I think there's so many, and Tara Moana, the big Australian heavyweight, obviously Jalalov, we've talked about. But you know, I would expect us to sign between 3 and 6 fighters from the Olympics. You can't sign too many, so you've got to pick them right. You've got to back the right horse. But you know that when you get a fighter with that pedigree, you've got a great chance.
Shifting topics abruptly to the situation regarding Canelo Alvarez and Turki Alalshikh and the fallout of the negotiation regarding Terence Crawford. Now, I spoke to Thomas Hauser earlier and he had a good line on it. He said that there's no permanent friends, no permanent enemies in boxing in terms of potential revisiting that deal and that fight, potentially being able to get over the line at a further point. But is it off the table? Do you feel that Canelo versus Crawford fight, can it be salvaged?
No, because I don't think Sal is really that interested in that fight, if I'm honest. And he's kind of made that clear, but he told me that a while ago. I don't think he feels like there's anything really for him fighting a guy who's moved up from 147. I think Sal at this stage in his career likes people that come to fight. And I think Crawford would box a crafty fight in that fight, and Sal knows that. And I don't think he feels like he'd get credit for beating a 147 pounder or a 154 pounder now. So, you know, I think you just got 2 very powerful people in the world of boxing that sort of wanted their own way, if you like, which was Canelo's was like, I'll talk to you later. And His Excellency's was like, no, let's get it made. And that's, you know, he's got a real appetite to make the biggest fights in the sport as quickly as possible. And he's probably a bit frustrated that he couldn't make that fight. So, yeah, I mean, that's probably something that, you know, quite rare for me to agree with Thomas Hauser. But yeah, I mean, big fights, doesn't matter how you feel about someone. When you want to make a fight and the business is right, it gets made.
So if that fight doesn't ever come to fruition, who has more to lose in that situation, Turki or Canelo, for not making that fight?
Who cares? I mean, if Canelo never fights Crawford, doesn't mean a row of beans to his resume. And if Canelo never fights Crawford, Turki Alalshikh will make Fury against AJ. And it will all be forgotten about. Do you know what I mean? So, but right now, Riyadh season has an appetite for making the biggest and best fights in the sport. And Crawford, Canelo, whilst it's a little bit unusual, is a big fight.
Is it a mistake, though, the back and forth and engaging in that? Because I remember when you came into America and you kind of said after the fact, maybe I wouldn't have come in as brash as I did so, but to have those jabs with the fighter, is that maybe a bit of a misstep?
I don't think so. I think, you know, you might as well be yourself. You might as well be... I think sometimes, you know, I look at some of the comments about Turki Alalshikh and it's like, with all due respect, the only thing the guy's interested in is making the best fights in the sport. So, and making them very quickly. So, like, the thought of him marinating a fight, like sometimes we do as promoters, impossible. He has no interest in that. So really, we should embrace him while he's here. Who knows what's going to happen? Is he going to be here for a year? Is he going to be here for 5 years, 10 years? But right now, it's the best time I've ever seen for the sport. So I'm, you know, I was up last night, 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning on the phone to him. I ain't sleeping. I'm taking the calls because the opportunities for our fighters are life-changing and for our business, and I'm enjoying it. So long may it continue.
Do you ever envisage a position where you might have to have the choice of working with Canelo or working with Turki and having to go down one of the paths exclusively?
Not really. Like, you know, I love Canelo. I think he's a great fighter. He's got his own mind. He does business his way. And if the deal's right, doesn't matter who it is, Sal will get it done.
I ask this very forward, but not a word I like to use, but is it a duck to not fight David Benavidez?
I mean, people talk about offers that have been made. Has there been an offer to fight David Benavidez? You know, I think you can't just make an offer and if someone turns it down, say it's a duck. But if someone makes a huge offer, you know, more money than you've ever made before, and you don't take the fight, then you start talking about. But in my opinion, Canelo would never duck anyone. If the business is right, he has no fear. He has no fear of David Benavidez. But he also knows it's a massive fight. Benavidez is a huge lump, and if he's going to fight him, I won't pay him. That's it.
Just a quick couple of things, Eddie. Firstly, and it's gone out of my mind. Yes, I've got it now. You made some comments about potentially being a PM in the future. How serious were those comments?
I mean, look, I'm pretty deluded all round, really. Like, I really feel like I could be a BAFTA-winning actor and a singer and have my own concert days, and I think I could probably be Prime Minister as well. A lot of those, obviously, I understand. It's just delusion on my behalf, but I think that the country's in a terrible state right now. I'm definitely not the answer, but I think I'd do a lot better than people in power or previously. But no, it's not something that's on the mind. It was a throwaway comment that got some nice support. But firstly, you'd have to go for MP of Brentwood. I'd definitely win that. And then from there, who knows? But I think we've got enough on our plate at the moment. But I am passionate about what's happening in the country, and particularly what's happening with kids. That's why we think these places are so important. Because I think, we're on the verge of, maybe we are falling apart already. So we've got to make some changes. And I think that comes from within the community and support within the community to give kids that feel like they don't have the support or feel like they don't have opportunity or guidance or structure. They do in here. And I know this is a small part of that change, but it's one that will definitely be effective.
And lastly, the question that popped into mind that I forgot was Canelo made some comments regarding his relationship with Oscar De La Hoya, and he said if he started with Al Heyman, he would have been in a much bigger fight, been in much better positions. What do you feel about that? Is Canelo right in saying that?
Who knows? I mean, I think that you never know, do you? Oscar's just Oscar, So he's so lovely to me, to my face. I met him in LA. Well, it couldn't have been nicer. So good luck to everybody.
Cheers, Ed. Appreciate it.